I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. As a quiet extension of what I'm sharing here, you may have heard me speak about the architecture series. These books are now available for those who feel ready to go deeper. The architecture of light, the architecture of future medicine, the architecture of the living ethos, the architecture of peace. Each book explores a different aspect of how life organizes itself when survival patterns are no longer in control, and a new architecture begins to emerge. If you feel resonance, you can find them on Lulu and on my websites, divinedesign.it and anpeggyDivine.com. Welcome, Katherine, to this Divine Design podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Ann-Peggy. It's a pleasure to chat with you.
Yeah, and we met for the first time 2 months ago, and we haven't spoken since we was in a breakout room together. And I invited you, and now 2 months later, we are there.
It's been quite a journey in those 2 months, hasn't it?
Yes. And I don't know so much about you, but I know that you have a lot of goods to offer. So I am actually curious about what your service is.
Well, I've had an interesting journey to get to where I am today as far as what my business is. It has evolved. I actually own two companies. One of them does very technical environmental work, identifies asbestos, and we do heat loss and energy audits, like heat loss energy audits, to help plants reduce their impact, their footprint, and lower their gas consumption, etc. And then fireproofing and coatings. So it's very industrial. It's certainly been an interesting journey into that world because being a woman in that field has not necessarily been easy to crack. That it's been a long journey, but I tend to be persistent, and so I really started in that industry through software development. My sister and I started our first software company quite some years ago, and we actually decided we would just build applications, custom applications for clients we knew or small businesses who couldn't necessarily afford the cost of big software applications. So she worked for the diocese, and I worked for a municipality. So we had two very differing backgrounds, but we started our first application for small parishes to track their members and offerings issued to the tax receipts. So small financial component with a membership component with that. So we struck out doing that, and it was very successful. But those were in the days where, well before cloud computing.
Okay.
So we had to go across the country to install our software. And being very early on in our journey, uh, we didn't charge enough, but we were doing it for the learning curve to be of service to churches that couldn't afford a lot. And it was an amazing experience. So our application, in fact, is still in some churches today, although we didn't transition that application to the cloud. So My sister had to move out west with her husband, and I, through the business, started working with one particular client, and they were taking up all my time. So through that journey, and with my sister having to move out west, she took the church software with her, and I ended up partnering with the client, and that was IMAP. So that's how I got into the IMAP business. And it was about 4 years in where one of the partners wanted to exit the company. So my business partner and I ended up buying them out. And then many years later, my business partner retired. So now I own the company fully. And through that journey, we about 2011, I was looking at the cloud emerging and went, if we don't change our software from a client-side application into a cloud, we are never going to scale. So my business partner wasn't necessarily a visionary, didn't see growth. He was happy with this small mom and pop business. And I was like, no, there's a whole world out there that we can reach and provide service for. So we started building the application for cloud. And then through that, one of our clients went, wow, if you can do that with the IMAP software, what can you do? Could you build us this workflow safety platform? So my business partner wasn't interested in that at all. He says, you start a separate company because I don't want it to affect our existing one. I went, okay, that's fine. So I started the second company called Industrial Web Apps, and that was to build a workflow safety platform. And just to give a little bit of background, I'm from Canada. I imagine your audience could be from around the world.
Yep.
So to put some reference, and the community in which I live is very industrialized. We have all the large petrochemical, oil and gas refineries in our community. So it is a natural audience for which I serve. So uh, I started the workflow safety platform, and we determined we didn't want it to pigeonhole us. We didn't want to just build an application for one type of use case. So we built the platform to be generically useful. That has been a blessing and a curse, I will say, because when you are able to deliver a platform for any industry, for any use case, you have a bit of an identity crisis. So it's really hard to market yourself. So even today, I used to say, people would say, well, what does your platform do? And well, think of Microsoft. When you buy Excel or you buy Office, it's just the spreadsheet. What you put in the spreadsheet is what you develop on your own. That is your spreadsheet. Well, Shore is our platform, stands for Share and Store. Um, it is a workflow and document and content management platform. So it's just a framework. Just think of like Excel is a framework.
Yeah.
So inside of the framework, you can use an Excel spreadsheet and turn it into a database. So it doesn't matter what you need information for, you can enter it into a spreadsheet that you've uploaded into Shore, and it turns it into a database. Now that's simplified, but that's the essence of what we do. So we have actually, in our journey of determining who we are and what Shore is, we decided to build some canned solutions. So we have project management. So what anybody who is in project management needs to do their job, which is manage people, keep an eye on costs, invoice their clients so they know what every aspect of their big project is. It can be managed or is managed in Shore. So ultimately, that's what we are, we've got a lot of traction on in that space. Would like to have more, of course.
But it for me listening, it's like it has most of it. It's bigger companies.
It is not necessarily like I have, just to give you an idea of the power in the platform.
Mm.
We have a radio station who uses it to manage their sales and schedule their traffic. So, how many packages of advertisement can we sell for the 5 o'clock news? How much can we do for the 8 a.m. news? So it tracks all of that and their sales and when contracts renew and that sort of thing. So it is a bit of a CRM. You could look at it that way if that's what you want to use it for. We have another client who is in LNG, so that's liquid natural gas. They have big tankers that need to fill up. So they're a distributor. They order gas on tanker trucks, or they have big terminals where the gas sits. Just think of a gas station where they get gas and they fill up the tanks underground. Well, these clients do the same thing. They order gas for them in volume, and then because tanker trucks take 45 minutes to an hour and a half to load, they have to schedule when they want to fill up. So our software manages the level of the tank, so their volume, how much gas they have on site or product. It could be propane as well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So then a driver will log in and say, I want to fill up my truck on this day at this time. And it blocks off that period of time based on the size of the truck and a bunch of technical information. So then our client can look at their dashboard and see how many loads they've got booked, how much gas they have in the tank, and if they need to order more to be able to deliver all the gas that they have scheduled to load. And because gas is a commodity and the prices fluctuate, it also gives them an opportunity to buy, pre-plan when they buy so
Ah.
that they can buy at an optimum. I mean, it's a crapshoot that with the markets the way they are, but it gives them the best insight into saying, okay, I'm going to put my order in now because I'm going to need it in 3 days. And they manage the delivery, etc. Of that. They know the logistics side of things.
Okay.
I have many clients who use it for project management because they have crews. Think of an oil refinery like a city. So there's thousands of people in that city. And they also hire subcontractors to do their maintenance and um, manage the plant from usually in a field perspective. So they hire a contractor. The contractor comes on site. The company who is the contractor has hundreds of employees doing tasks at that facility and 5 other facilities. So they've got crews of people all over the place, and they need to know exactly what those people are doing in the field so that they can match the scope of work that they've been hired to deliver. And then at the end of every day, in our system, they can see exactly how much the work that got done uh, will cost the client. So they can get approval at the end of the day from their client because many companies like at that level require daily authorization, at the very most weekly. But daily is better because if there's delays and the cost changed because of the client's fault, like their client's fault, they can get approval for that additional expense. So if I'm the contractor, I can't afford to have to deal with an emergency because there was a delay, or my crew has to sit around because the facility wasn't ready for me, even though they scheduled me today. So I can get sign off from my contact at the facility to say, I approve this because you're experiencing the delay and it's not your fault. And there's money involved. So that's just one example. But at the end of the day, they know exactly how much money each employee cost them, what the tasks that were completed, and then that starts to form a bill for them at the end of the week or the end of the month. It also automatically, by virtue of doing the task card, if you will,
Mm.
they know exactly how much they're paying those people
Yeah.
because it's all we connect it all in the background. It's
Yeah.
somewhat of a complex workflow,
Yeah.
but just to give you a picture, it gives people insight in the moment of what is actually happening out there in the field.
Yeah.
So,
Norway is a big oil nation, as you probably know, but yeah, it's big, and I have no insight into that. I just know that we have a lot of oil. So, so what you are talking about is new to me. But I'm thinking, because you say, oh, this has been a journey. My interest and where I come from is like, okay, it kind of the spiritual journey behind the system. What has this done with you? How has this formed you? Have you done anything change with yourself? So it's kind of, can I ask you that question? What it has done? What has it done with you as a person? Because you have been in it for some years, as you describe it.
many,
Yeah.
many. I think I just in general owning a business, there are so many ups and downs.
Yep.
And I am a firm believer that we write our own story, that we do attract the things that we are expecting or asking for. And that's probably my biggest challenge is when you get caught in the day-to-day grind, because
Yep.
there are many days that are a grind,
Yep.
you start to lose, I don't know if it's the faith, but when reality hits and it doesn't flow,
Yeah.
um, it takes some time for you to hit a wall. And then you go, I need to remember why I'm doing this
Yeah.
and not let the noise talk you into you're on the wrong path. I have many, 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 many times asked the universe to just tell me because I don't know if should I keep going? Should I change? You have to tell me because I don't know anymore. So there is that aspect. I think I have always been spiritual in that regard. My dad was amazing. I come from a family of nine, and I grew up in the country with, never seeing, our grandparents lived across the road from us, and there was only one or two other houses on our road. It took us an hour to get to school. So there was like, we were fairly isolated and grew up pretty innocently. And my dad he always said, you can be anything you want. You can do whatever you want. Can't is not a word. Um, so he started my belief in that
Yeah.
as a young child. So I've always had that knowing or that understanding.
Mm.
Sometimes we forget,
Yeah.
sometimes we put our own roadblocks
Yeah.
up. And those are things I think for the rest of my life I will continue try to overcome and I liked what you said earlier. We just let it flow. And that is really what I am trying to that's what I'm working on right now is the flow. I know it should be easy.
Yeah.
And I am pretty good to roll with the punches when things don't go the way I expect. I have the most amazing team that work for me. They Most of them started right out of college and are still with me 8, 10 years later. And through COVID, that was a tough time because the global market opened up for developers. And my employees were getting poached left, right, and center because they were throwing crazy money at developers, and I couldn't compete. I mean, you can't overnight just all of a sudden say, okay, I can triple your wage. I couldn't do that. So I did lose four people. Um, and that was what I put out to what I analyzed through that process is I think that was right. They bless them, move on. I hope their journey is successful. I did start to caution my employees, like, this is a blip on the map. The world is you're being hired by technology companies who are getting crazy money thrown at it from venture capital, and you will have a job for 1 or 2 years, and that job will be gone. Here, we're on a path. We're here for the long haul. We're not a flash in the pan. We're bootstrapped. I've financed the company from day one.
Yeah.
I have 10 employees, and the core ones that have stayed, I had 15, and I have 10 today after COVID, and I've maintained that. I chose not to replace those who left. We were able to maintain, and it was through crazy times. So
Yeah.
I've stayed with my 10 core employees, and um, I love them like they're my kids. And I really, I think the reason I've maintained them is I truly believe in work-life balance. And there are some who slide into taking advantage of certain things, and you have to kind of rein them in. But overall, I believe in processes and rules, and as long as they're clear, um, and if I'm not a tyrant, I don't like if we have a policy and somebody needs an exception to that policy, we absolutely, accommodate. So I really feel like that is in part why my employees are still with me. Um, so that part has been amazing. And I very, very much appreciate their dedication, and they step up when they need to, and then I step up when I need to. So
Wow, I love listening to your story. And when you talk, I'm reminded the podcast before this podcast, I had an interview with a man named Richard Barrett. And Richard Barrett, he has made a survey and kind of lead. He started it as a leader prototype because he have worked with so many companies all around the world to see how they can do it better, and also the change of doing it in a new way, not all the old way. And I did this profile 2 months ago, and it was very interesting. You learn a lot about yourself because it is kind of the mindset of a leader in a big company. How do you see your workers? How do you see your company, and all that is going on? And when I spoke with Richard afterward, and I said we should start a group because he is still changing this survey. Because he said, okay, I'm not only looking for leaders because this is a profile in us. The new system is us because you have just described your company, and it is you because you are the system, you are holding it. So I said to Richard, this is amazing. We should make kind of groups and meet and talk because then we can do each other even more better. So he said, yes, just send the people to me, give them my email, because when I did the survey, 80 deep question, I sent it to him, and he gave back what I came out as, because it is kind of, do you have national consciousness? Are you best on systems? Are you go on the globe? It's like, it is all the depth kind of. And he have written almost 50 books. So he has a lot of knowledge. He's 80 years and he have devoted his life to doing this. And I'm saying that because, first of all, you don't have to answer on this podcast, but I wanted to invite you into this group. And also, if there are listeners that are leaders that are into business, that feels that, okay, I hold the new system inside me in some way, contact me or Richard, because we are now starting to make each other even better. Because just doing this survey, you understand, oh, that's the way I see my employer, that's the way I function. So it is, I cannot go into detail, but it is a very good survey, and you understand your consciousness, where you come from, and your strength, and most of all, your shadows, because all of us have shadows, as you know. So when I saw my shadows, it's like, yeah, I knew it, but it was kind of, yeah, I got it black and white. But to do it in a group and do each other even better. So this is just in the beginning. So we have just spoken a couple of days ago. So since you spoke about this, it was kind of, yes, this want to come out even more. So people can contact me or Richard Barrett and come in a community. And we also, when we speak about this, sometimes we start something and we don't know where it will go, but I know this will unfold, and this is a part of the future system. That's all I know.
Very good. I absolutely can answer now. I would love to be a part of that group. I have been an advocate for community and volunteering all my entire life. So my parents set the groundwork for that. They always volunteered. My mom in her church, and my dad in anything that he was more into sports and that sort of thing, but they always did more. So as a young person, I thought there's nothing in our community for young people to do because we're a rural community, but we had a bowling alley. So I found out that young people could bowl. My parents bowled all their lives, so I didn't know kids could. So I asked if I could start a bowling league, and the I went to the bowling alley, and they said they'd love it, of course, because it was money for them. So I went out and I filled the bowling alley every I think it was every Tuesday after school. We all went to the bowling alley, and we did that for years and years. That was the very first real volunteer thing I took on, and it turned out to be a pretty good success. So that was pretty cool. But we moved. My husband and I were married 10 years from London, Ontario, and he transferred his job to Sarnia. And he said, "Are you sure you want to do this? We'll be moving away from the family." And I went, "Yeah, it's only an hour and a half down the road. I absolutely support your career." Then I got here and it was like, wow, I know no one. I know absolutely no one. I left my job behind and I don't know anyone. So our kids were young, so my daughter started in gymnastics, and then I went to a meeting they had, and they were asking for volunteers to be on the board, and I went, okay, I'll be on the board.
Yeah.
So 10 years later, I ended up being president, and from once I was done that, my daughter finished her competitive career in gymnastics, went off to university. I ended up starting my business in and around that time, and joined the Chamber of Commerce on their board, and then became chair. And then I was done that, and I went to the Economic Partnership on their board, and was chair. And now I'm on a hospital board. I'm also on a board for the Industrial Alliance. So I'm constantly looking for avenues to serve over and above my businesses as well. I really believe in having mentors and learning from others. And obviously a strong advocate for women, and you can do and be whatever you want and celebrate, and try to mm, overcome. There is a sense where there is some women are can maybe not support other women as much. And I don't think that's as real as what social media or um, some other narrative makes up, because women support women. It's when they do, it's the most amazing thing, the most powerful thing in the world.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, it's you have to cut out all the noise and focus on what you believe in and listen to the things that make the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you mention it, I don't know how many hours of volunteers I have for. Yeah, I got my first child he when I was 19, and being in we have a community for parents, and I was in this community for 13 years, and 5 of the years I was the leader, and it was a lot of tasks being kind of, I had the key for every role kind of, and also in another organization, one child too little, it's kind of, we lost a child, so we was in that and did a lot of volunteer work there. And also one of our child had cancer, so we was in the cancer organization for a lot of years. And then I really put in a lot of work, and I was the coordinator for big arrangement, kind of having a week off when you are in the midst of treatment, to just have 1 week off the family, and doing fun things, kind of relaxing. So yeah, and I really believe in this kind of working for the society, working for the kids, working for the collaboration, even though it is for free or volunteer. So I think, I don't know, but I have done a lot of volunteer work, and I have learned a lot through it, because it is
Yes.
relational. It is kind of more intimate than maybe some work.
Well, I also think it is the best opportunity for anyone to learn how other organizations run.
Yeah,
You by volunteering, you're getting um, a free education. You're spending your time, don't
yep,
get me wrong,
yep,
but you would be spending your time learning at college and paying for that.
yeah, yeah,
Where, where
yeah,
if you volunteer
yeah,
and you dedicate, put in a lot of effort,
yep.
put in more than you get out, you will get out more than you ever put in.
I agree.
That the 100% my mantra.
Yeah,
So I find all of the roles that I've ever had, and one of my first jobs that I absolutely loved the most was probably the lowest paid. It was in accounts payable, and I had to make calls to collect money. And when bills weren't paid, and I absolutely it was crazy, but I loved that job.
yeah,
I absolutely loved it, and it wasn't because I was going after, you know, it wasn't. It was business to business. It was like other companies who owed money to the company and hadn't paid. That I don't think I could have done that if I was working for, a lawyer's office or a dentist's office, and I had to call a home, a person who couldn't afford to pay their bill. I wouldn't have been good at that.
no,
But the business to business, I learned so much on how to negotiate and how to work with people. And my mom always did say you attract more flies with honey. I would remember that when I was making a phone call to, be a bad guy, that just be kind, be nice, be understanding,
yeah,
but be firm.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it's it, it that I mean that was a job I had, but I learned way more about business by being on boards
yeah,
than I ever would have learned just doing my own business on my own,
yeah,
because you only can do what you know and what you understand. But the more you open up your world, the more you expose yourself to other viewpoints and other ways of life or other structures, then you start to learn, okay, that resonates with me, or aha, I would never have thought that I should do it this way or that I can do it that way. So it is really important to put yourself out there and not be internal.
Yeah.
Just look out and see what others are doing and take the gold.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we you talk, I have been in several other organizations. I don't want to mention the name, but I pull back. I have been, particularly two of them, I pulled back because in some organization there are so much drama and stuff. So I really tried. One of them I balanced out and then I pulled out and I said, no, it's up to you. The other one is kind of, I saw if I said yes to continue, I knew what I was facing. It's like, no. So, but that this is organization and free service kind of. So I have also met organization that it can be a lot behind everything kind of. So yes, when we are talking about free organization and giving our free time to service.
One of the things I found interesting on the different volunteer work that I have done, I did find that as the sports organization that was not for profit and it was parent run, there was a lot of drama because you're talking about kids, right? And and parents who have an agenda when they volunteer, they want to control the situation, or they really are doing it for all the wrong reasons. They're not doing it for the good of the entire organization. They're doing it for that one individual person who
Yeah.
is partaking in the sport. And I found I didn't even realize it until I went to another board and I would do something that didn't even feel like work to me. That I would just, there was a need.
Yeah.
We talked about it at either a committee meeting or a board meeting. I would go off and I would do it and
Yeah.
then bring it back to them and say,
Yeah.
use it or not, but
Yeah.
this is what I know we need this. So if you like it, it's yours. The thanks I got for doing such little, it was like a nothing thing compared to the 10 years where no matter what I did, I got criticized for it. It was like just nobody was happy. And it was very disruptive really to the organization and to the whole purpose of being. But I didn't even realize it. It was just that my first experience on volunteering and it was all I knew.
Yeah.
Then I go to this other organization and it was like, you're thanking me like I was a hero for it. That was nothing. Like, I don't know, no, no, don't, don't point it out. It's here. Just take it.
Wow, what an incredible experience.
It was such a paradigm. It was in such a contrast.
Yeah.
So then I learned from that though, that you don't have to accept the negative. You don't, I did it for so long that it was just the way it was.
You thought it was
And then you
normal.
find that it doesn't have to be this awful. Me giving of my time doesn't have to be awful. And then you learn what really drives it is ego. Quite often, when people are upset with a gift you give,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're not happy about it, it's because it's their ego.
Yeah.
They wish they had done it, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know. So yeah, it's humankind is a very interesting.
It is. But when you mentioned that when it's our kids, I have worked for kids, for teenager, and also in organization with no relation to our kids. It's just organization for different topic. And it can be just as much drama without kids. I can assure you, because the two organization I was into had nothing to do with their children, but they were crazy. So it can be if you have kids, or because it is if you are not yourself in balance and you go into this and it kind of, you kind of, oh, life is a projection, so it is kind of projection, and we, yeah, so, but I have learned a
No,
lot.
absolutely, because I mean, there have been there's always the potential to have
Yeah,
toxic people on a board.
yeah, yeah,
And they can, you could have 16, 17 people on a board and one person is toxic. And
yeah,
that one bad apple
yeah, yeah,
spoils the whole bushel.
yeah.
It is true.
I experienced that the first time when I was 18, and it was a big company and one rotten apple, and I was kind of, how much that only that person did with all the rest of the company. It was kind of, wow, I was kind of fascinated and kind of, because all of us were tipping toe for this one person. Yeah, and yeah, so, and after that I have met it several times, but that one was kind of the first time it was so extreme.
Right. And it is surprising. I remember this one particular board that I was chair of. There was a toxic individual. And whenever that person was nasty, no one else on the board would stand up and say a thing. It was silence. After the board meeting, they'd call and say, "Oh, that was just terrible. They shouldn't have said that." And I said, you know how this could improve
Yeah,
is that after that incident, because it will happen again, because
yeah,
that's this person's MO, maybe you say something. Just one other person on the board say something. And then that might stop.
mm,
But if everybody just condones that behavior, I can shut it down all I want as chair, and I did. But then I'd have to suffer the wrath because that person was fearless about they had no respect for anyone.
yeah, yeah,
So anyway, it is um, interesting
yeah.
human nature, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, and all what we are talking about, it's like kind of leading up to how can we lead differently? How can we make a workplace, communities? How can we do it in another way? Because all starts from within ourselves.
Yeah, I think one of my closest mentors said to me one time when I was lamenting about something that I couldn't understand why they would do that. Why would that be the reaction? And he looked at me and he said, "Is there any truth to what they said?" And that I just went, set me back. And I went, I don't know, but thank you for making me think differently. It just made me, I don't know if there was any truth. I mean, I probably could have if I dug deep enough at the moment. But what that did for me was realize that people who react
Yeah,
that on its face offend us might not be doing it just to be mean or because they're a horrible person. They're reacting to their perception of what is happening.
yeah,
So there has to be some reason they're reacting that way. So so I think as a leader, that's something you always need to be mindful of is if people are reacting a certain way, don't just assume they're nasty or they're wrong or they're mean. Take a step back, take a big breath and think, what could be making them respond that way?
yeah,
And maybe even ask them,
yeah, yeah,
I sense that you're unhappy with this decision or this interaction. Can you explain to me what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's always just being open and mindful
Yeah.
that generally people respond from their perception or their experience or their understanding of their fear. It could be fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
often, that is actually what it is.
Yeah, because it kind of our society has been crazy. We have to protect, 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 and protection does we get fearful. So even my kids have said when mother when 20 years ago and they have what they experienced and I said what did you experience like that, and I was very stressful because I had 5 kids, lots to do, and so their perception of me was different than in my mind because I had to do all this stuff. So yeah, I was fearful because I had to do so much, and I had 2 very sick kids. So yeah, so I was actually in fight and flight very much because it was kind of survival. He had cancer, we didn't know if he would survive, so it was yeah, so being in this, even though I didn't when I was in it, I didn't think that way. It was kind of the normal. Do you know if he just you have to kind of survive from day to day. So now several years after it's like wow, that was a crazy time, and I was actually in fight and flight, and so my nervous system was even though that was my normal. So when people said
Right.
you are stressed, no, this is normal.
Right.
So
Right.
I come from
Yeah.
that, so I understand it completely.
Well, and for for when you're in that situation, you have no control.
No.
Zero.
Yeah.
All you get to do is put one foot in front of the other and take that next step and wait on everything else that's going to impact a good or bad outcome for someone you love so dearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I can't even imagine that level of difficulty. It must require drawing on this most strength you could ever even.
Yeah, actually, after being in this almost 20 years, even though it slowed down, it was something. Then the doctor said to me in 2013, "You will die." So I prepared to die because my heart had started to become all the time because I had to be. I have to help because I'm also all over. I had so many key roles. I was in borders. I was with my own kids, family. You know, we have a lot of roles as. And the doctor said, "Now your system can't take it anymore." So my body had said much earlier that it's enough, enough. But I could never stop it because you do everything for your kids. You do. I did for my work, and then the doctor said, "Now you will die," and I actually prepared to die. But what died was my programming. So I just have to surrender. So I went out of all borders, all organization, because I was in a lot of them. So suddenly, just everyone, I was in most of them to 2013. During 2013, everyone, I went out of everything. And then I was in what we call the dark night of the soul for 6 years. So yes, I have walked the path also, and I died the way I was because it was stress all the time, and so I have walked this path, and I know how it is to live with an activated nervous system. That's why I can help so many to regulate their nervous system because I almost died from it.
Right. So just a question, the work you do, um, how do you help people regulate their nervous system?
The most effective, I use EFT. I activate the energy point so that the body get a signal that it is safe. Because if we are safe, everything can kind of come true. So I didn't feel safe because it was so. So when I came to safeness, then I started to kind of expand and come in balance. So the first thing I do, it is to help the person become safe. And what I have seen over the last, yeah, I don't know how many years, I when I do regression therapy, they go it's like into hypnosis, and I do it also on Zoom, and I tell them how to activate their own energy point. So I lead them into hypnosis and then go through all the activating, the triggers that is behind the scene, and go through it and kind of chuk, 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 chuk. I point hold to them so they come out balanced. And I have seen so many just doing one double time, and they transform their life. It goes so fast. It's almost like I couldn't believe it myself. But if you go this deep and activate all the triggers that is behind, after a double session, it's kind of I'm a new person. And Michelle, I have a reference out. Michelle's like, wow, she didn't believe in regression. She didn't know what it was. And regression can be kind of you go through all this life. And also an aspect of this is if you believe or if you know that you have a soul and you have lived past life, future life, it's kind of you are more than just this life. You can also experience thing that is that you have something before you incarnated in body. So
Yeah,
so I
so
hold this
I
space.
have
I hold this space so everything can come up. So it's kind of boom, 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 boom. So it's kind of zero out.
so I'm have you ever had the experience where with a client where a past life regression left them feeling pretty awful?
Yes, but yeah, several times. But it is a meaning behind it. They felt awful, but almost every time it's like okay, and then they see another, so they feel awful now, but then they go to another. So it's kind of a balanced, so they can
You don't
see.
have to stay. So
Yeah.
I will tell you my experience with I have tried um, with meditation doing past life regressions. I kept at it for quite a while, and I would be depressed for days after. And I just thought I probably shouldn't have been doing it on my own because I
Oh,
think that was the biggest, that is because I didn't know what to do with, and I just didn't want to do it again. I don't
I
want to go
understand.
there.
I
I
understand.
have.
Yeah, because
So,
I know where to end the session.
right.
I know where to end. You never end the session in that emotion, because that is a trigger,
Right.
that is a trauma. You don't end a situation in a trauma because that's re-traumatizing. So you actually traumatized yourself.
I did. I
Yeah.
know I did. And my sister was a big proponent of it. And she said, "Oh my God," she says, "it's been the most amazing experience of my life." So I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. And I did not have the same experience. So I would love to explore that because I don't want that to be, and it was years and years and years ago that I tried that. And it the sense that I still carry today, I feel like I'm still carrying some of that. And I would be happy
I will
to
help you with that.
yeah, I believe you will because I thought one of these days I do have to address it. And all my sister and I laughed about it afterwards. She says, "You've got issues." I said, "I know I do."
Yeah, no, that's the trauma. You don't end the session in a trauma because yeah, that's not good. But because some I have worked in psychiatry and a lot of system, and actually some of the system is traumatizing because talk about your trauma and they just talk about it and they don't get a release. That is re-traumatizing the person. So you have to
Right.
help it kind of to come in balance
The
again.
bottom of it, I really believe there must have been something
Yeah.
that I needed to process.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And and I've never given myself the opportunity to do that because I will never do it again on my own. Never. Like it was not fun. So I when I heard the first time you mentioned you did that, I went, I've got to talk to Aunt Peggy about my experience.
Yeah. So it is important to have a holder because I hold it, and if you do it, yes, I do it. I have done a lot of regression by myself, but I have done it so much with clients, so I am experienced. So, but it is to hold the space, and also you'd never end a session when you are in deep depression or if you are dying and you have a kind of death experience and you go, oh no, we stop it.
That's exactly what happened. And
Yeah.
I did. It was, and like I said, for days. And I just thought, I did it one more time and I thought it was no better. So I'm not equipped to do this. So,
Yeah, the reference that Michelle is saying that she have done this, and she was actually dying in one of it, but I didn't stop it there. But she experienced it, and it was because when you are in a death process, it is not pleasant. But so she was experience it, but it wasn't the end. So it led to other things.
right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, if it's a past life, there was an end to that life.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah,
it wouldn't be a past life.
yes, true. So, and I also have been on a lot of my past life death moments. And the first time I was there, I say never, never again, because it was kind of stopped in it. And I said because it was a hypnotherapist, it was my teacher learning me to be a therapist, and I was in a death experience of my life, and I said no because I wasn't on Earth. That's why I said no. I am human. I don't want to relate to extraterrestrial. So I was kind of there, and it's like no, no, no. This is too crazy. And he said, "Do you think you are the only one experience this? I don't care. This is too crazy to me. I don't want to experience my death on another galaxy or whatever this is. No." So I stopped it, but some years after, when I was more grounded and I had a more experience in it, then I did it. And then the result was completely, but I didn't get out of it traumatized. It was not, no, this was, because the opening I had, it was for a week, and the opening, I had so many past life that the opening was so big. So it was kind of, you live this life, it's kind of, this is your understanding of life. And suddenly the opening is so big, it's kind of, you become crazy. Kind of, it's so radical. And the opening had already become so radical, I couldn't take that leap. It was, and it's like, no, 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 no. So yeah, but I'm glad I had it because I have felt it myself when I guide other, because it can say, no, no, some people can experience that. But yeah. But we never end in, I have never ended when you experience near death experience. So yes, we will do that.
Very good.
Wow, this was so interesting. It was so nice to get to know you even deeper, Katherine.
You as well. You have a great energy. You're just beautiful.
And I really look forward to getting to know you even better in this group. And everyone that feels in their heart, I want to be there, I want to be one of the new leaders and see how we can do it better, are welcome.
All right. Well, I'm happy to join that group and I appreciate the chat. It's always interesting to retell the journey of my business career and, how I got here and why I'm still here, actually. I'm not done yet.
No, you have a lot. You have a lot to do yet.
Yeah, I think so. But the next phase is going to be easy.
It is.
It will flow.
It will flow, and we will get even bigger community and do it in another way.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you. If this conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you feel that needs to hear it. Together, your support helps us sustain this work, bringing transformational wisdom into the world and nurturing the awakening of our shared foundation, Mother Earth. Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another heaven on earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.